Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Sea Beast. A newly discovered fossil has revealed a terrifying aquatic predator that scientists have compared to the T-Rex. They are calling this beast the underwater Rex, a fierce and relentless hunter that lived during the late Cretaceous period. It's not a totally new kind of creature, but could be a new species of the already identified mosasaur. The prehistoric monster has been named Thalassotitan atrox, and it lived between 145 and 66 million years ago. The creature likely had a head that looked reptilian and hunted challenging prey such as sea turtles, plesiosaurs, and other mosasaurs. It also had a tail fin kind of like a shark and was at the very top of the food chain. It didn't matter where in the ocean it was. There was nothing else nearly as scary. Paleontologist Nick Longrich from the University of Bath described it best when he said the prehistoric mosasaur was like a Komodo dragon mixed with a great white shark, but with a T-Rex and a killer whale mixed in for good measure. It was a total abomination, one that could reach 40 feet in length. It was bigger than any other reptile, with its closest living relatives being snakes and iguanas. You might think crocodiles or alligators, but nope. Iguanas. What truly separates the Thalassotitan from other species of mosasaur is that it appears to have been far more aggressive. Its fossilized teeth were found broken and worn, suggesting they had been used to rip through the bones of other large predatory fish. Nobody knows for sure what animals it was eating, but scientists believe it was crunching the bones of its own kind. Number 9. The Troodon. The Troodon lived 76 million years ago during the peak of dinosaur evolution. It was a small dinosaur considering the competition at the time, standing only 11 feet tall and weighing around 110 pounds. Like other dinosaurs, it laid eggs and had similar traits to birds and crocodiles. However, scientists are unsure if this slender and bizarre dinosaur was an ancestor of either or both. What made the Troodon a truly exceptional and terrifying predator was its brain. Its brain was huge, even larger than the brains of modern reptiles in relation to its size. Scientists speculate that with its massive brain, the Troodon was far more intelligent than the average dinosaur, and perhaps even more intelligent than modern birds. That's what's earned the Troodon the title of world's smartest dinosaur. Not only was the Troodon a genius, but it was also a skilled killer. It had larger than average eyes so that it could hunt at night or in the dark. It was also considered an omnivorous predator. It had grasping hands that it could use to shovel vegetables and nuts into its mouth, while also possessing sharp teeth for ripping apart animals smaller than itself. But here's the best part about the clever Troodon. In 1982, Canadian paleontologist Dale Russell speculated that if the Troodon had survived the extinction of the dinosaurs, it would have evolved to have human-level intelligence. He believed that it would have continued to grow just like how monkeys grew into humans. Eventually, the Troodon would have become a brainy, perceptive, walking and talking reptile with partially opposable thumbs and 3 fingers on its hand. If that's not terrifying, I don't know what is. Number 8. Purussaurus. In the world of prehistory, there were 2 giant crocodilians that make all living crocodilians look like baby lizards. There was the Sarcosuchus and the Purussaurus. No one is really sure which one was bigger, though many scientists lean toward the Purussaurus as being the largest crocodilian that ever walked the face of the earth. This terrifying reptile lived 8 million years ago in South America. It had a huge head, sharp teeth, and an unprecedented bite force. Its bite was so strong that its teeth would have sunk through muscle and bone like a hydraulic press. A single bite would have shattered the internal structures of whatever it attacked, rupturing organs and causing the animal to die in seconds. Just like modern crocodiles, the Purussaurus was an ambush predator. This thing would have been found lurking around lakes and swamps, waiting for thirsty, unwitting animals to show up for a drink. Then it would have burst out of the water and captured its victim in its powerful jaws. Nobody knows exactly how large the prehistoric crocodilian grew, but based on fossils of its skull, it grew anywhere between 34 and 41 feet long. It also weighed an average of about 6.2 tons. Unfortunately, the only remains that have ever been found are skulls. Paleontologists have never discovered fragments of its body, making its exact size unknown. Number 7. Giganotosaurus. The Giganotosaurus was even bigger than the Tyrannosaurus rex. Scientists believe the heaviest Giganotosaurus was about 10 tons, whereas a female T-Rex could weigh just a little over 9 tons. It's not really a huge difference, but it's enough to make the Giganotosaurus one of the biggest predators in the history of the planet. It wasn't the largest carnivore of all time, as that was the Spinosaurus. Still, it was so massive that its preferred prey was the Argentinosaurus, a creature that outweighed the Giganotosaurus by over 40 tons. An adult Argentinosaurus was a true behemoth of the dinosaur, a kind of sauropod that could grow to an estimated 115 feet in length. But here's where things get truly terrifying. Researchers believe there is no way a Giganotosaurus could have knocked over and killed an Argentinosaurus by itself. Instead, they believe the largest carnivore to ever live in South America hunted in groups. They may have had behavior similar to modern wolves, working together to take down prey significantly larger than themselves. And while you might think the Giganotosaurus was a slow-moving monster, that wasn't the case at all. It's believed it could run faster than the smaller T-Rex, potentially reaching speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. Number 6. The Microraptor. In Greek, the name Microraptor translates to small thief. This dinosaur is one of the smallest ever discovered, and, according to National Geographic, the smallest official species of raptor. It only weighed about 2 pounds and stood 1 foot tall, about the size of a crow. It had extremely sharp claws, which it used for climbing to the tops of trees and searching out its prey. The Microraptor could then launch itself from the treetop and glide like a flying squirrel, catching insects in its mouth and landing on lower branches. This thing was unlike any raptor that we know of, and unlike any other dinosaur as well. It had feathers, it could basically fly, and its arm bones were almost identical to the bones in modern birds. In the realm of all things terrifying, the raptor was a little terror. It wasn't as big and dangerous as a 30-foot turkey, but if it was alive today, it would definitely be a horrifying nuisance. Just imagine a bunch of crow-sized dinosaurs with razor-sharp teeth loitering on the power lines outside your house. The Microraptor was kind of like an oversized hummingbird with a hunger for meat. Scientists have also confirmed its feathers were iridescent, meaning it had a metallic shine as it glided through the air. The Microraptor wasn't the only prehistoric creature that could glide either. There was another feathered glider called the Archaeopteryx that existed 25 million years before the Microraptor. The only difference is that the Archaeopteryx wasn't a raptor. It was a non-avian link between dinosaurs and modern birds. Number 5. The Gigantoraptor. The Gigantoraptor, despite the name, was not technically a raptor. It was a dinosaur that lived about 95 million years ago and weighed about 2 tons. Its closest relative was the much smaller Oviraptor. When compared to a human, a fully grown individual wouldn't have stood any taller than its knees. It was truly huge, and yet all we know about it comes from a single fossil specimen found in Mongolia in 2005. The fossil was found by accident by a Chinese paleontologist while filming a documentary about a totally unrelated dinosaur. The Gigantoraptor is believed to have been a kind of oviraptorosaur, a group of dinos that walked on 2 legs and looked kind of like turkeys. Oviraptorosaurs are most famous these days for their rude habit of stealing and eating the eggs of other dinosaurs. They were egg thieves, although the Gigantoraptor was most likely too big to be partaking in that behavior. Instead, it was really just a giant turkey. It would have looked almost identical to everybody's favorite Thanksgiving bird, except that it stood 26 feet tall. The prehistoric creature was so big, it could have easily consumed a whole family of humans for a midday snack. Number 4. Pterodactyls. Pterodactyls were some of the most terrifying creatures that dominated the skies during the age of the dinosaurs. They weren't technically dinosaurs, but were flying reptiles. They had bat-like wings, only extremely large, but there were a lot of different kinds of pterodactyls, and each one was unique. The biggest pterodactyl of them all was also the largest flying animal that ever lived. It's called the Quetzalcoatlus northropi, and it lived 67 million years ago. Its wingspan is estimated to have been anywhere between 35 and 52 feet. Either one would have made it positively gigantic, nearly the size of an airplane. With great big wings came a great big body. The Quetzalcoatlus was most likely around 32 feet from the tip of its beak to the end of its tail, and weighed anywhere from 150 to 550 pounds. But the most notable feature of this giant reptile was its skull. It had an extremely long beak, kind of like a stork, which it could have used for picking dinosaurs off the ground, like you might pick up an ant with a pair of tweezers. And while it could have done that, it probably didn't. Like most flying animals, the Quetzalcoatlus likely sustained itself on a diet of fish. Number 3. Homotherium latidens. The Homotherium latidens is an extinct genus of saber-toothed cat that lived throughout North America, Africa, and Eurasia up until very recently, only about 28,000 years ago. These big cats were some of the most brutal predators of both the Pliocene and the Pleistocene, growing just about 4 feet at the shoulder and weighing as much as an African lion. The biggest difference between the Homotherium and other saber-toothed cats like the Smilodon was that it had surprisingly short upper canines. Unlike those 2 big teeth that make saber-toothed cats so famous, the ones the Homotherium had were short, flat, and serrated. Still, they were powerful instruments for hunting. It used its incisors and canines as a puncturing device, killing just about anything it sunk its fangs into instantly. Even though it had shorter teeth, its head was larger than other saber-toothed cats, and it had a more muscular jaw. This meant each bite had a higher chance of being fatal. Sadly, just like all the other saber-toothed cats, the Homotherium went extinct as the Ice Age came to an end. But the animal still had a pretty long run before extinction. It likely evolved into its final form about 5 million years ago, then became such a skilled predator that it migrated to all the corners of the world. Its bones have been found everywhere from Africa to South America. Number 2. Chalicotherium. The Chalicotherium lived 15 million years ago, long after the dinosaurs were already extinct. It's one of the only animals known to science that's unclassifiable because it doesn't have a single direct living descendant. Although it was a gigantic mammal, that's the only thing scientists can classify it as. Some have suggested it could be an extremely distant relative of the horse, but that's only speculation. The truth is that the Chalicotherium did not look or behave like any mammal still alive today. It had a bunch of bizarre features that made it look like a freaky animal created in somebody's dream. Its front legs were longer than its hind legs, and it walked kind of like a gorilla, dragging its knuckles across the ground. It had claws rather than hooves, which it likely used to scrape vegetation from trees. It may have resembled a giant sloth, although it was, at the same time, nothing like a giant sloth. So how dangerous was this creature? Scientists know based on fossil evidence that it stood roughly 9 feet tall and weighed 1 ton. It would have been a difficult creature to kill, with adults having practically no natural predators. It was like a bigger and much more muscular gorilla, only more similar to a horse or something with hooves. It didn't eat meat, preferring a diet of leaves and fruits. But still, it definitely was able to defend itself with its scythe-like claws. Number 1. Small eyes, big bite. The T-Rex had very small arms. Most people think of the Tyrannosaurus rex as the king of the dinosaurs, with stubby little hands that weren't much use at all. But new research shows that not only did the most famous dinosaur in history have tiny arms, but it also had unusually small eyes. Researchers from the University of Birmingham believe its tiny eyeballs helped it to bite even harder. It all has to do with the eye sockets. The team investigated the oval eye sockets of the T-Rex and found them to be unexpectedly narrow. It appears that by evolving narrower eye sockets, thereby reducing the space needed to house the eyeballs, the T-Rex freed up space for jaw muscles to grow. This increased the robustness of the T-Rex skull, increased its jaw muscles, and allowed for a much more powerful bite. The big trade-off was that it gradually developed much smaller eyeballs. This left it borderline visually impaired. The T-Rex would have had utterly atrocious vision, hardly able to see anything except movement. But really, that was all the great carnivore needed. Once he locked onto a victim, his massive mouth and dagger-like teeth took care of the rest. Thanks for watching! Which of these frightening animals would you least like to meet in the wild? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!